Hey guys, this is Thomas over here at nursemoneytalk.com, and in this video, I'm going to talk about when exactly is the best time to take the NCLEX. Is it in the morning or is it in the afternoon? What about the weekday or the weekend? Does it really matter when you schedule and take the NCLEX? But before I get into that, if you're not already subscribed, I want to go ahead and invite you to hit that subscribe button. On this channel, I talk about all things related to nursing student, and of course, nurse life. So one other thing, if you haven't already taken the NCLEX and you have not already gotten an NCLEX prep course, I want to go ahead and encourage you to check out the NCLEX prep course I recommend by going to nursemoneytalk.com/NCLEX prep. So let's go ahead and get right to it. There's a couple of different ways to think about this, right? So you can think about it from a purely kind of scientific, like researched route on this. And I'll get to why I say that here in a second. And then you can also look at it from a point of what is most maybe convenient for your personal lifestyle. I'm actually going to focus on more or less the morning and afternoon time because the weekday and weekend argument will kind of fit right into everything else. So I know for me, generally, I am a morning person. I prefer to do and get everything done in the morning. So all my tests, classes, and everything else, I will schedule it in the morning. I was the one in college. Yeah, would have been freshman year when I remember it was a 7:30 chemistry lab. So I had to be in that lab by 7:30 for I believe it was a 3-hour lab. So I will go with the morning schedule, but I know in general that is not the case for everybody. But what does research say about this? And if you look at research and a lot of the studies out there, you will see that generally the recommendation is that the morning time is the best time to take exams. Actually, I remember I read a couple of articles even in the past that would actually mention that the morning time is in general the best time to do anything analytical. And most people do better doing stuff like this in the morning. Even the people who aren't morning people, what I remember that I was reading was that it was just that the best time, if you will, just shifted a little bit later. So if you were like a morning person, your best time was earlier. And if you were not a morning person, it just shifted a little bit later in the morning. But in general, the best time to do stuff like this in the morning. And a big part of this is what they're calling cognitive fatigue. Cognitive fatigue is just like what happens as you just get more and more mentally kind of tired or drained as you're forced to expand and make decisions on a regular basis. And part of the thing that I remember reading was that even the things that like you just think like, that you're not really making decisions on and that you're quote unquote going on autopilot, there is actually decisions that are being made. And so if you've ever found yourself in a situation where after a long day of doing whatever, you might not feel physically tired per se, but you just feel kind of like mentally drained. I think some of you guys can relate to that. And so that's kind of what you're seeing here. And so those are all the reasons that kind of leads towards this path of the morning probably would be the better time to schedule for the NCLEX. Now, there are exceptions and some things that you might want to think about when it comes to the scheduling. And this is kind of where you start getting into like more or less the lifestyle and just life in general. And so I'll give you some like 5 things to kind of think about as you're going through doing your scheduling. So the first thing that will obviously come into play is your slot availability. So is the time that you want available? So even when it comes to like the weekday, weekend, is that slot even available at the testing facility? Do you even have the availability even in your own personal life and schedule to make that work? Because in a perfect world, you could drop everything you're doing and be able to make this the number one sole priority. But this isn't the perfect world, and it's life. Many of you guys are not your traditional, I don't have any other responsibilities student. And there's nothing wrong if you are, but many of you aren't. You have like families, you have partners, you have commitments. You're a caregiver, you're a parent. You have a full-time job or whatever. And so you're having to juggle your schedule around all these other commitments. And so that might not be an option for you. And, and even if you're in an instance where like you have to take the test quickly for whatever reason, because I worked with a coworker who actually drove down to Texas to take the NCLEX. So we're in Oklahoma. So drove down to Texas. I think it was probably like a 3-4 hour drive just to take the NCLEX exam because he needed to, or he wanted to take it as soon as possible. And that was the absolute first availability. And so he jumped on it. If you're wondering, can you actually do that? Can you take the NCLEX in a different state than where you went to school? There's a video that I made and I'll link up there. So you can go ahead and check that out because I explain more about that particular situation in that story. The second thing to really think about is what is going to be your anxiety level before taking the exam. For some of you guys who, if you have a baseline of just being anxious, and this is just honestly just being truthful to yourself on just how you're just bent, like how you are. For some of you, you might be a nervous wreck if you wait till the afternoon to take this exam. Honestly, like if it's on Monday and you know it's coming on a Wednesday, you might be a nervous wreck leading up to the exam. So it then begs the question, does it make sense to actually then wait? You wake up in that morning and so maybe you have it scheduled at like 1 or whatever. And so are you going to be a nervous wreck waiting that long till you have to take the exam? Or would you be better off just getting up, just going to the exam and just getting it over with? That is something to think about. The third thing, and this is something that I don't think enough people think about, is that what is the traffic like in your area? So you should know on several videos, I have really stressed on the fact that you need to know where that exam test is. It would probably ideal that you've already been there. And so knowing where that place is, what is the general traffic leading to there? Are you in a place or a city where it's just going to be very difficult to get there in the morning? So you're going to have like really bad morning rush hour. So if you're going to have like really bad morning rush hour, for example, you might be better off waiting until the afternoon, Or if you want to take it in the morning, but you have like really bad rush hour during the weekday, maybe you'd be better off looking at seeing what the schedule on the weekend is like. These are some of the things that you just need to come and keep in mind because you don't want to be late. And so being late could mean that, you forfeit what you paid and now you have to repay and reschedule. And you don't want that. The fourth thing is looking at a possible risk for sleep deprivation. And what I mean by this is, are you going to get enough rest? Are you the type of person where you're just not going to go to bed on time? Like you are just not. And so you're going to wake up, like you might be able to get there on time, but you're just going to be super tired. And if you don't have the discipline to go to bed on time, be able to wake up early and then go take this test, I mean, you don't want to have it scheduled in the morning. I mean, you want to be well rested and, essentially just be as rested as possible when you're taking this exam. And so if that's going to be an issue, it might be worth looking at a later time slot. Before I get to the fifth point, just want to reiterate, like, if you're finding this video helpful, would really appreciate the thumbs up. And if you think there's anybody else that could benefit, would really encourage you to share it with that person. And if you're needing a good NCLEX prep, make sure you check out nursemoneytalk.com/NCLEX prep. Now, let's get to the fifth one. And so the fifth one is your ability to get there early. Just your overall ability to get there early. And only you can really know the answer to that question. So for some of you, scheduling it early might mean that there's a chance you're going to be late. So maybe you might be better off not scheduling it early. For some of you, maybe scheduling it late means that you're going to be late. If that just means you're going to be, messing around in the morning and then you just lose track of time and then you're late. And so these are all the things that you're going to have to think about. So in general, if you are just wanting a hard and fast rule, here's what I would kind of throw out there, right? So if you look at the research, I think it's definitely leaning more towards like morning would be the most ideal time. And so I would try to get there in the morning. And then if you live in an area where it's really bad traffic, I would probably try to see if you can do morning weekend. If it's better, if traffic is better. So that is just kind of like what I would do. But hey, but you're not me. And you might have other responsibilities. So ultimately, you got to make the choice that is the best for you, your family, and your current situation. So that is all I got. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you very soon in that next video.